something that, yeah, a lot of people just began talking about immediately. You know, sometimes it takes stories, firestorms, however you want to call it, a little bit of a run up, a little bit of momentum. Other stories just take off like a rocket ship. Bill Cosby's out of prison, conviction overturned, ESPN, this whole flap between, I hasten to say it's between Rachel Nichols and Maria Taylor, because there's aspects of it where Rachel Nichols says some things, and we'll talk about what she said. Maria Taylor was just apparently over here minding her business. So I don't like it when people say, well, you two don't get along. Don't involve me in that. But the other part of it's the mothership, right? ESPN, the worldwide leader in sexual harassment and discrimination. They got some major problems there that remain, okay? And it starts at the top. So you know, you and I talked about this in our pre-show call, and it's difficult for me to figure out where I'm going with this because there's many layers, and you know I always be talking about the layers, okay? There's a lot of layers here, okay? Rachel Nichols caught having a private conversation with a man who happens to be an advisor type marketing guy to LeBron James. So there's just like so many twists and turns. She's in her hotel room in the bubble. She doesn't know how to turn the equipment off, apparently, allegedly. And so her conversation with this LeBron James figure, not LeBron James, goes back to the mothership at ESPN, where a colleague then takes it and disseminates it to Maria Taylor and others. Punishment so far has been sparse. Only the colleague who disseminated it suspended 2 weeks, no pay. Rachel Nichols said some things. It's in my contract. I'm the host of Countdown or whatever it is. ESPN contacted me and they want to give it to Maria Taylor. We've been going back and forth and sharing this. And she says basically that ESPN is doing this to cover up their horrific record on diversity or lack thereof. She says she too has been a victim of it as a woman. Again, this is a private conversation she's having, Mike. She says she wishes Maria Taylor all the success in the world, but don't take what's mine, okay? Which is what ESPN is trying to do. They're trying to fake the funk, whatever they told her behind the scenes. And people are going in. ESPN has some mutiny. Jalen Rose, Maria, all these people are saying, why wasn't she punished for this? And by the way, you're very entitled because you're in this private conversation assuming that you're the best and that Maria's not and that you deserve it. So, I mean, you work there. I'm going to give you the balance of the time, but I got some real thoughts about all of it.
So many different layers, like you mentioned. Like you mentioned, I did work there for 9 years, and it's sad that when I worked there was a certain culture that existed at ESPN. And look, I will give them credit for being a worldwide leader. I probably wouldn't be in the position I am today if it wasn't for those 4 letters being on my resume. So I'm going to give them the credit they deserve. All right, gave me a lot of exposure. But at the same time, I did realize and I experienced a culture at ESPN that maybe exists in other places. But the sad thing about ESPN is it could be such a great utopia, but at times it isn't. And a lot of times the accountability factor is select accountability. There are times where I would do things or I would say things and I would get in trouble for it. And my colleagues who didn't look like me would say the same things and they would be praised for it. There has not been one black person that has been on air that I can think of right now that has not gone through hell at ESPN. I'll just say it just straight up. Stuart Scott, Stephen A. Smith, Jamel Hill, Kerry Champion, Michael Smith, Mike Hill, anybody that's gone through there has been some sense that you have gone through some sort of hell at ESPN. I'll just put it down like that. And it needs to change. Now, ABC has done a great job. Disney has done a great job when it comes to ABC News of cleaning up their culture, getting rid of some of the things. There are certain things at ESPN that needs changing, and it starts at the top. People are going to look at me and say, you know what, Mike, you're just bitter. I'm not bitter. I got to pass that a long time ago. I left ESPN 8 years ago, and I moved on. I'm at Fox Sports 1. I'm now at the Black News Channel, enjoying myself. But the layers that I looked at, the entitlement, the privilege that came from Rachel Nichols and what she said, taking what's mine, when if you go back, and I'll just break it all the way down, if you go all the way back to when she first started, people can look at her and say the same thing about her. Something was given to her, maybe given to her, that a lot of people felt like they deserve to have at that particular time. I know there was a situation where I was hosting a show called NFL Live. And all of a sudden, Rachel Nichols, who didn't do a lot with the NFL at that time, was given hosting opportunities over me. I didn't say anything about her being a woman coming in. I just thought that was ESPN making the decisions that they made for whatever reasons they did. I never looked at the person who got the opportunity over me and said, well, you know what, it's their fault. No. Like mentioned before, Sharon, it is a culture that is prevalent at that network, but it's also prevalent in other places. Sharon, how many times have you been coming up? Bring her back on because I need to see her face. Please. How many times have you been in a position where you were coming up, and I know I've gone through this. I remember my second job, where people would tell me, Mike, oh, you're going to ESPN one day. You're going to a network one day because you're black. Not because I was good. Not because I was great at my job, but because that seemed to be the only qualification that people who did not look like me felt like I needed to have in order to succeed in this business. How many times has that happened to you? I'll let you answer that.
I mean, there's too many times to count. I mean, most recently, well, not even most recent, in St. Louis, I remember I was anchoring a show with a young lady who is Indian. And she was too stupid, I guess, to realize what she said, but she said it. That basically she was there before me. She didn't get the job for the main, they brought me in. And she said she didn't get it because she was black. Now, I didn't, because I didn't care. It was a stop along the way. I could have turned to her in the makeup room and said, well, you didn't get it because you're average at best anchor. You're not very good at your job. She's not very good at her job. And with her years of experience in the industry, not very good at her job. It is what it is. Okay, sometimes you just got to be clear. But when people don't tell you the truth, sometimes they got to tell you. They probably should have sat her down and said, we like you, but you're not ready. You're not that good. You're not that good.
Here's what happened,
so
Sharon.
That happens all along the way.
Okay, let me jump in here. Because what happened here, and I feel like this is my opinion, obviously I wasn't there. They didn't do her any favors, Rachel Nichols. They gave her the sense of entitlement that this is yours. Like, look at that last, put that tweet, put that back up there one more time. Not gonna take what is mine. Like, I understand if they put that in your contract or whatever. If it's in your contract, then they violated their contract. If it's in your contract, then they violated their contract. And then you take that up with ESPN. You don't take that and you don't take that out on Maria and basically say, you're making it seem what she doesn't understand and what she needs. And I guess she's trying to apologize to Maria and reached out to her. Maria doesn't want to hear it. But when you say things like that, it takes away from the accomplishments that Maria has or the skill set that she has. She is qualified, more than qualified for that position. Just as good, if not better, than Rachel. And maybe sometimes it could be a mix of people. Maybe she works better with Jalen Rose, or Jalen Rose works better with her, or Jay Williams, or Adrian Wojnarowski, who's on that show. Sometimes it's a chemistry thing. But when somebody tells you stuff like that, and it becomes diversity because of the lack of diversity they've had in the years. And I'm not going to listen to this hard out today because I got something to say. So when it comes to this whole diversity thing and the lack of diversity, they try to make up for it over a period of time. All of a sudden, when it's explained to the person who is not getting the opportunity they feel like is theirs, it's explained because of, oh, well, we got to make up for this. We haven't had this diversity situation. We got this diversity situation that we have to stand because we're getting all this pressure. So we're going to take what we feel like should be yours and we're going to put somebody else in this position. So it's not just Rachel's issue. It's also the network and other networks like ESPN's issue that also tries to explain to people why they're not in a position that they are in. That brings the entitlement, that brings the privilege that a lot of these people have. And a lot of us go through it, to be quite honest with you. It's not just white people. It could be a man. It could be me as a man. It's like all of a sudden they don't have any women at a particular station because in the sports department, and all of a sudden women come in, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you know what? Well, you know what? We got to bring some women in here or whatever. That brings something and puts something inside of your head to make you resent the person who comes in. But you have to be stronger You have to be stronger than that and realize that it's not that person's fault. It is the network's fault, or the people who are making those decisions. It's their fault when it comes to that type of stuff. So we got to stop that. And we also got to stop the whole thing about the accomplishments of black people or people of color not deserving those jobs or getting those opportunities because they are black. They're more than qualified. They're able, they're willing, and they do a tremendous job. Maria Taylor is worth every penny that ESPN tries to give her. She is worth every opportunity that they give her. I've seen her since she was basically an intern or PA coming up through the system at ESPN and other networks. And she has risen to the ranks to where she is. And I pray that she gets everything that she deserves that is coming to her at the right network and given the right opportunity. But once again, it's a culture that has been bred throughout ESPN and other networks like ESPN for many, many years, and it's got to stop. It's got to change.
So, you said a lot, and we're up against something, so I'm gonna keep it brief. I hope Maria Taylor gets everything too. I do. For her sake and for everybody else who was denied. I hope Maria Taylor gets a fat paycheck and some respect. A couple of things. Sometimes black people deserve the job, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're horrible at their job. Mm-hmm. That's not really where I'm going to start here. Where I'm going to start is there's a lot of white people who stank at their job too. They stank it up. Okay? They're terrible. But there is that sense of entitlement. Rachel Nichols' father-in-law, dearly departed, a beloved, famed Hollywood director. Her mother-in-law is Diane Sawyer. At some point, she got the job over somebody else who deserved it more. Facts. Okay? I could say a lot about her performance. I think she works hard, so I'm going to leave it at that. I think she does a decent job, and she works hard. Maria Taylor, let's stipulate, same thing. I don't know that the focus needs to be on Rachel Nichols because, A, I'm going to tell you something. You can come see about me when I'm having a private conversation in my bubble. This is my bubble. And if I forget to turn something off and you're listening to my private conversation, you decide to record it, you better come see about me, or guess what? Don't. You better not ask me a thing. Okay? Don't ask me a thing, you thief, you eavesdropper, you're tacky. Okay? Now, what did she say in that private conversation? She said it's mine. It's in her contract. It was in Rachel Nichols' contract. How it got in her contract and a sense of entitlement and white privilege, we can go down that rabbit hole if you want to. I got facts for days. Facts for days on that, okay? But the fact to me is, this is tacky, race, insensitivity, discriminating ESPN. Okay? We can't even get to two talented ladies. We got to stick with nasty ESPN. And the fact that they still can't get it right all these years after Sean Salisbury. Okay? You still can't get it right. You're tacky. You're nasty. Okay? So that's where the focus should be. Here you pit a white woman and a black woman against each other, basically. When it's you, ESPN, it's you. You did this. And you're still doing it. Okay? You're still doing it because you don't care about women. That's what I said a long time ago. You don't care about women. You don't care about advancement. You don't care about people of color. Because if you did, there'd be plenty to go around for everybody up in here. And I'm going to end with this one. Rachel Nichols seems to me like a white, progressive, liberal woman until somebody picks her pockets. That's usually how it goes. You can be as liberal as you want to be, a freedom fighter, an ally, a real one, take a knee, fist in the air, until they come for what you see as yours, right? They hired her. I guarantee there was somebody better with more experience, more heart, better looker, better audibly.
I was there.
Better journalist. I guarantee
I was there.
it. I watched it, and I had some
when
questions,
she first
okay?
came.
The Rachel Nichols you see now was not the Rachel Nichols they hired. So what?
She's good
they
now.
They nurtured her.
She's good now.
She did her work.
Yep.
She did her work.
Yep.
She's a hard worker. So what? All I'm saying is, maybe you should do that across the board and you wouldn't be in this place. ESPN is tacky. They're nasty. They did this. They've always been this way. Always been this way. They're still
Once
that
again,
one. So we can argue about two women and a hotel
Stephen
bubble.
A. Smith. It's happened to Stuart Scott. It's happened to me. One quick story. I was told, this is my book, I was told when I was there, a lot of people, when I was there, I was told in a meeting with a talent executive, he said, the reason you're not moving up is because I calmed it down for the sake of a lot of things. I said it's too urban. I've always said too urban. They told me I was too ghetto. They said, the reason you're not moving up here at ESPN is because you're too ghetto. This is from an executive who was a talent executive there. And he said, I don't mind telling you this. I'm an old white man from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's dearly departed now. I love the guy named Bud Morgan. He told me that. He said, the reason you're not moving is too ghetto. He said, and they already have one of those. Stuart Scott was there at the time. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to compare us and basically saying, exactly. Yeah, and they were trying to say they already have one because I was keeping my soul, because I was staying black, I was being true to who I am, and it's like we already have one of those. And that was coming down, he said, from the executives at ESPN. Now look, I don't want to work at ESPN ever again. I'll probably never get a chance to do that. You know, maybe even Disney. But at the same time, that is the culture that existed when I was there. And obviously some things have not changed. Listening to the people who work at ESPN still and the people who have just recently left ESPN. That is the issue, and that needs to change. Like I said, ABC has done a great job. Disney has done a great job of taking care of that stuff at ABC. They got to get rid of the culture of the biggest cash cow that Disney has right now. No, they have. Well, ABC is trying to do it right now. Disney is trying to do it with ABC, knocking people out.
I'm done with trying. This is actually easy. This is easy. If you are not white privilege and discriminatory, this is easy. This is trying. This is easy.
They're taking the steps towards that. I will say that. They understand, okay, this is an issue. This is a problem. No, I understand, but you got to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. All right, we got to go.
Start somewhere. It's 2021.